Snow squeaks softly under your feet, that strange dry sound that only comes when cold digs deep into the ground. There is no cabin, no stone hearth, no orange glow of a radiator waiting to rescue you. And yet, you are alive. Not barely alive either, but alert, breathing steadily, wrapped in something older than comfort, and far older than central heating. You probably will not survive this, at least not the way you are right now, with your modern habits and your expectation that warmth should always be one switch away. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And, while you are settling in, maybe drop a comment with where you are listening from and what time it is there. Midnight in Toronto, early evening in Sydney, a quiet afternoon somewhere warm where winter feels theoretical. Now, dim the lights and let your shoulders drop as you imagine stepping backward in time into a winter that has no heating system waiting in reserve. You wake before sunrise because cold does not let you sleep long. It nudges you awake, not cruelly, just persistently. The air presses against your skin, sharp but clean, carrying the faint scent of wood smoke from a fire that burned low hours ago and was never meant to last all night. That is your first lesson. Prehistoric people did not think of heat the way you do. They did not aim to banish cold completely. They learned to live alongside it. A mainstream historical fact slips quietly into the scene. Archaeological evidence shows that early humans survived repeated ice age cycles for tens of thousands of years, long before permanent fireplaces became common. This is not a mystery, just a reality that feels uncomfortable from a modern sofa. The cold was not an emergency. It was the background condition of life. You shift your weight, stamping your feet, feeling blood move. That movement is not an accident. Stillness is dangerous here. Your ancestors learned that warmth could be made inside the body as much as outside it. You probably think fire is the hero of this story, but fire is expensive. It eats fuel, demands attention, and gives away your location. In deep prehistory, fire was often used sparingly, saved for cooking, tool making, or brief bursts of warmth rather than endless burning through the night. There is a quirky tidbit that tends to surprise people. Some archaeologists believe that certain prehistoric groups intentionally let fires die overnight, trusting their bodies, their shelter, and their shared warmth to carry them through until morning. It sounds reckless, almost masochistic, but it worked often enough to become tradition. You look around at the others waking with you. No one complains about the cold. Complaining would waste energy. Instead, there is quiet efficiency. Someone feeds a few twigs into the embers, coaxing a low flame, just enough to take the edge off the morning air. Someone else checks a simple windbreak made of branches and hides, angled carefully to block the worst gusts. This is not comfort, as you know it. This is competence. Historians still argue whether early humans consciously trained themselves to tolerate cold, or whether natural selection simply removed those who could not adapt. The debate is polite but unresolved, and you can feel it in your bones as you breathe deeply and let the cold settle rather than fight it. You notice something else. The cold here feels different from the cold you know. There is no damp chill creeping through thin walls, no draft sneaking under a door. The air is dry, honest. It stings, yes, but it does not linger. You realize how much of your modern discomfort comes from fighting environments your body did not evolve to handle. Central heating dries the air, confuses your senses, and leaves you strangely fragile once you step outside. A gentle sarcasm creeps in as you imagine explaining this morning to someone back home. No, there is no thermostat. No, there is no blanket fresh from the dryer. And yet, somehow, life continues. You bend down, brushing snow from a patch of ground worn smooth by repeated use. This spot has been slept on for generations. The earth here is slightly warmer than the air, holding on to yesterday's sun and the body heat of those who came before you. Even now, without realizing it, you are learning to read warmth in subtle places. Your hands tingle, then slowly numb, then settle into a steady, manageable cold. Panic would make it worse. Calm lets your circulation adjust. This, too, was learned. Children growing up in these conditions did not experience cold as trauma. It was normal. Their bodies responded efficiently, shunting blood where it was needed and conserving heat where it mattered most. You catch the faint smell of animal hide, oiled and smoked, wrapped loosely around your shoulders. It is not tailored. There are no neat seams or buttons, but it blocks wind, traps air, and moves with you. Later, much later, people would invent buildings designed to trap heat continuously. For now, warmth travels with you. As the sky lightens, you feel something unexpected, not misery, not heroism, but a quiet confidence. Winter is not an enemy to be conquered. It is a condition to be understood. Prehistoric people did not need heating in the way you think, because they did not design their lives around permanent indoor warmth. They designed themselves, their movements, and their expectations around cold. You take one last breath of the icy air, steady and slow, and begin to move with the others as the day starts. The story does not pause here. It flows forward, step by careful step, deeper into how bodies, habits, and landscapes work together to make winter survivable without glowing radiators or humming furnaces. You keep moving as the light grows stronger, and you begin to notice something about your own body. It is not shutting down. It is not begging for rescue. It is adjusting. Your breathing settles into a rhythm that feels almost meditative, and the cold that once seemed sharp now feels manageable, even familiar. This is where the story turns inward, because prehistoric survival in winter was not just about shelters or fires. It was about bodies that knew how to exist in cold without panicking. You roll your shoulders and feel heat bloom deep inside your chest, spreading slowly outward. This warmth is not borrowed from a flame. It is made by muscle, blood, and metabolism. A well-known historical fact slips in quietly here. Human bodies generate heat constantly through movement and digestion, and early humans relied heavily on this internal furnace. Studies of modern cold-adapted populations show higher baseline metabolic rates in winter, something your ancestors likely shared without ever naming it. You pause, letting your weight settle evenly on your feet. Your toes sting less now. The initial shock has passed. This is not magic. It is physiology. Blood vessels near your skin constrict slightly, reducing heat loss, while deeper circulation keeps your core warm. You do not think about it. You simply feel steadier. There is a strange comfort in realizing that your body is not as helpless as modern life suggests. You have been trained to outsource warmth, turn a knob, flip a switch, wrap yourself in artificial heat until your own systems grow lazy. Prehistoric people did the opposite. Their bodies were the first line of defense. A quirky detail drifts in like a half-remembered campfire story. Some researchers suspect that prehistoric humans may have intentionally exposed themselves to cold during certain parts of the day, much like modern cold water swimmers, to keep their tolerance high. There is no written record, of course, but wear patterns on tools and seasonal camp layouts suggest people spent more time outdoors than comfort would strictly require. You imagine a child growing up here. No heated nursery, no thick walls keeping the world out. From infancy, cold is simply part of sensation, like sound or light. That child learns early that shivering is not failure, it is communication. Muscles vibrate to make heat. The body speaks, and the child listens. You flex your fingers and notice how dexterity returns once you stop fighting the cold. Panic makes you clumsy. Calm restores control. This lesson mattered. Dropping a tool in winter could mean wasted energy or lost food. Survival favored those who could stay composed when their skin went numb. There is an ongoing scholarly disagreement about how much of this tolerance was biological versus cultural. Some experts argue that genetic adaptation played a major role, pointing to differences in body shape and circulation. Others suggest that behavior and lifelong conditioning mattered more than DNA. The truth likely sits somewhere in between, and you feel that ambiguity in your own imagined muscles as they warm with use. You walk with the group, matching pace. No one rushes. No one drags behind. This steady movement is warmth. Your thighs and calves generate heat with every step, sending it upward. You realize that sitting still for long periods would be a mistake. Rest happens later, carefully timed and well supported. Your breath fogs the air in slow pulses. You notice the smell of frost and earth, clean and faintly metallic. Cold sharpens senses. Sounds carry farther. You hear a distant crack as ice shifts along a riverbank. You are alert, but not tense. Modern aside slips in gently. Think about how cold feels when you step outside from a heated building. The shock is violent. Your body scrambles because it has not been practicing. Here, there is no shock, just continuity. Indoors and outdoors are not radically different worlds. They blend into each other, You remember that the body loses most heat through the head and extremities. Without knowing anatomy, prehistoric people learned this through experience. They wrapped hands, covered heads, and kept feet moving. Heat conservation became instinct, not instruction. There is another understated fact worth noticing. Body composition mattered. People with slightly higher body fat had an advantage in cold climates, not as excess, but as insulation. This did not mean obesity as you imagine it today. It meant resilience. Seasonal weight gain was normal and useful. You glance down at your arms, imagining them stronger, denser, built from constant physical work. Muscle mass itself produces heat. A sedentary winter was not an option. Food gathering, tool making, and shelter maintenance all required motion. Warmth came as a byproduct of living. Some anthropologists debate whether early humans consciously understood their bodies as heat systems or simply acted through tradition.